I've been working for the DoD for a long time. I've seen things you would not believe. Glimpses of other worlds and the leagues of superheroes they have on them. And even though we only have your father on this planet, thank God that we do, because he's the finest of any Earth.
Well, can't say I'm not shocked. Okay, so we are going to read the explanation from the showrunner of Superman and Lois, Todd Helbing, which is right here. DC and I had a conversation during season 1, and the decision to keep Superman and Lois separate was made then, but I couldn't make it public until the end of this season. So when I got to all these questions in previous interviews, I knew what we were doing, but I could not talk about it. It got a little frustrating on my end, but I totally understand DC's position. So this put that to rest. I've said from the beginning that we wanted to put our own stamp on the Superman property. This wasn't meant to alienate us from the Arrowverse, but because a lot of the other shows are sadly no longer going to be on air, it felt like the right thing to do. Okay, so what that essentially means is, originally, Superman and Lois was supposed to be a spin-off that occurred in the Arrowverse. However, due to a lot of the shows being canceled, such as Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, why am I forgetting? Batwoman, and then The Flash essentially ending, because of all these shows basically ending, Superman and Lois basically came about at the wrong time. Now, not only did it come about at the wrong time due to the show's ending, it also came about at the wrong time due to COVID. Because of COVID, a lot of the schedules and a lot of the crossovers that we were supposed to have with these shows ended up not happening. For instance, Superman and Lois had a crossover that was supposed to occur. I think there was a Flash and Supergirl crossover that was supposed to happen one last time that we did not get because of COVID. So it was multiple things happening at the same time led to basically WB and the CW deciding that Superman and Lois was essentially its own thing happening in its own universe off to the side. I feel as though this is something that we essentially should have been told in season 1, but I'm okay with us getting that information now in season 2, because that essentially means that the show can go off and basically do its own thing, which we've already seen the introduction of Diggle. This means that the show, if it wants to, could bring in Jon Cryer as the more traditional Lex Luthor who has a beef with Clark instead of having a major beef with Supergirl on the Supergirl show. This also means that it seems as though we are getting the beginning of the Age of Heroes in this universe. So this is also a good time that if they wanted to, the show could introduce a Barry Allen, a Wally West, a Kara Danvers, a Batman, a Robin, a Wonder Woman. It could explore all these avenues as other heroes around the world start to essentially come forward and be known in, I'm assuming, like Earth 2, or I don't even know if this Earth has a designation, because we know that it's not a part of the Arrowverse, but we've also gotten basically informed that all of the movies and all of the TV shows essentially happen in the greater DC EU universe and are just all on parallel Earths. How do I feel about it? I'm happy, because for the longest time I've said that Superman and Lois was on a different production tier than the other CW shows. It doesn't feel like a CW show, and that's mostly because it cuts out a lot of the filler. It trims a lot of the fat. Most of the CW TV shows are going for 20, 21, 22, 23 episodes in a season. Superman and Lois can shrink that down to 13 episodes and then use double the budget per episode that would go to basically stretching out the show and throwing in random filler episodes that don't move forward the plot. I prefer the 13 episode seasons. 13 episodes is perfect for telling a nice, straightforward, contained story that keeps you on the edge of your seat every single episode. The only time I feel as though the Arrowverse ever accomplished that was with season 1 of Flash because of the Reverse Flash, and then season 2 of Arrow with Deathstroke. Other than that, it always felt as though you were showing up for 21 seasons, but there were really only 7 episodes in the season that you actually cared about because they were good. So coming out now and letting us know, I mean, they let us know in the show, like the clip at the beginning of this showed, General Lane essentially saying that, you know, Superman's the only hero in our world, but I've seen other worlds that have legions of superheroes. That may also be a hint at the fact that this series is going to end up getting its own legion of heroes, because originally Superman was the other hero, but now we have Steel, and then we have the Daughter, then we have Superboy. So I'm 100% expecting it to expand beyond that for us to get a Barry Allen, a Kara Danvers, a Batman, a Batgirl, a Robin. Like, this show has the potential to be a more traditional DC Universe show that doesn't revolve around an unexpected character. Like, I love the Arrowverse, but one of the things that I never really liked was the idea that the entire universe essentially revolved around Oliver Queen, because he was essentially like the first hero in that universe and he started the entire thing. I much prefer a show that revolves around Superman and Superman's interaction and meeting with all of these other heroes, some of which he might have inspired to be heroes. I'm 100% okay with that. Like, that's dope as shit to me. So I don't actually mind Superman and Lois going off and doing its own thing. Now, the Diggle situation is an interesting one, because he does say that this is also a new Diggle. David Ramsey had grown out a beard, blah, 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 blah. But to not add more confusion to it, he's a different Diggle. Now, the Diggle from the Arrowverse decided not to open he decided not to become a Green Lantern, because we saw the ring floating. It could be that in this universe, Diggle decides to basically take on the Lantern ring and he becomes a Green Lantern. And there's a chance that he essentially just becomes John Stewart. Especially now that we discover that in like a parallel universe, I think he takes his mother's name instead of his father's name, or he takes his father's name instead of his mother's name. And whoever's name it was, their last name was Stewart, which means that John Diggle is actually John Stewart, and we've been seeing John Stewart the Green Lantern run around the entire time. I'd be 100% for it if Superman and Lois decided to essentially become the live-action version of the Justice League cartoon, where we have Superman, John Diggle, we end up getting a Hawk Girl, we end up getting Wally West the Flash, and then we end up getting Batman, and Wonder Woman, of course, and then that's just like the Justice League. But of course, it still sticks with the whole Superman and Lois theme, where you're more or less dealing with like their everyday life, but at the same time, there's like a league that is going around and dealing with crises around the world. But yeah, I'm okay with this. Like, the Arrowverse has been dying over the last few years, and it's about to be put to bed. It makes no sense to make this show a part of the Arrowverse when a lot of these people that have been doing awesome jobs as heroes for the last 10 years on these shows aren't going to be coming back to reprising their roles. It's okay to just send Superman and Lois off, say it's in its own universe, and have them do their own thing. But let me know how you feel. Do you like the fact that Superman and Lois is separate from the Arrowverse? Do you feel as though this is the right decision, wrong decision? Comment below, let me know, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.